Do you think that defunding our nation's police departments is an effective way of addressing instances of police misconduct?
No, it's a disastrous policy. Less police on the streets means more crime.
In that video you just saw, that was Pennsylvania Congressman Reschenthaler asking questions and listening to testimony during a congressional hearing on police reform following the death of George Floyd. Joining us now is Congressman Reschenthaler. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming on today.
Emma, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. There was a lot to look at yesterday and to hear, strong emotions as well. What did you take away from yesterday's hearing?
Well, I had a lot of takeaways. First off, when George Floyd's brother testified, that was a heart-wrenching moment. And we had a woman whose brother died protecting a courthouse from rioters and looters in California. That testimony was heart-wrenching. But what was so frustrating was that the Republicans wanted to talk about common ground, things we can actually get done, transparency for police departments, training. So we have de-escalation training, part of the police training. We also want to make sure that we have a way to terminate bad actors in the police department. So we were talking about solid ideas, things that could actually get done. Democrats were talking about ludicrous ideas like taking away liability protections from police officers. So every time they go out and they're on the line, they could lose their life savings, their homes, and so forth. They were also trying to downplay the calls from their radical base, calling to dismantle and defund the police. But the great irony of all that was, while you had the Democrats on the panel trying to downplay defunding the police, in real time, you had protesters in Seattle taking over city blocks, calling for dismantling the police. You had AOC and Omar. We were reading their tweets about defunding and dismantling the police. So a lot was going on in yesterday's hearing, but the key takeaway for me is Republicans came across as the adults in the room. We were the ones looking for solutions. Democrats were coming up with ludicrous ideas and then trying to downplay the craziness from their far left radical base.
And what I want to point out, too, to your point, is that this is happening within the Democratic Party, right? There's such disconnect within its own party, and we're seeing these calls to defund the police. And some Democrats are saying, well, we don't mean defund. You know, that's not the technical term. We want to reallocate funds. We want to move some funds around here. But really, I mean, you would be defunding money going towards police departments, right?
It's Orwellian newspeak. It's like something from 1984 where only Democrats could say defund the police doesn't mean defunding the police. No, it means defunding the police. It means taking away their money, which of course would lead to dismantling the police departments. And their own words, their own tweets, their own statements say, quote unquote, defund and dismantle the police. That's what they want to do. So spin it how they will. But we know what they want. Their solutions would lead to anarchy and chaos. Again, just like what you're seeing in Seattle with protesters taking over 6 to 9 city blocks, which is complete lawlessness. Also, the sad irony of all this, Emma, is that if you were to defund the police, affluent neighborhoods would just hire private security firms to do the policing in those neighborhoods, and you would have the most vulnerable neighborhoods left exposed to crime. When policing goes down, crime rates goes up. It's an inverse relationship. But you were talking about the Democrat Party struggling with their far left radical base. The Democrat Party has really gone the way of the Whig Party. It's really anachronistic at this point because the party of JFK is no longer around. The Democrat Party of your grandfather no longer exists. These are now the social justice warriors. They're in control of this party, and they're leading it to chaos and ruin.
Yeah, we're seeing things play out in Seattle, as you mentioned. It's great to hear from you. That's Congressman Reschenthaler, Republican in Pennsylvania. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Emma.